you own a home in Milton, last month's number might surprise you because prices took a serious hit. Detached, semis, towns, condos, everything moved. So let's talk about it. Milton's market moved in a really interesting way last month. And if you live here, you probably felt it too. The pace has slowed down. Buyers got a lot more cautious and prices across almost every segment took a hit, especially detached homes. And Milton isn't like the rest of the GTA. This is a family town. People move here for space, school, stability, not speculation. So when the numbers shift as much as they did in November, it says a lot about where the mindset is in this town. In this update, I want to walk you through what changed, how many homes sold, how prices moved, how much inventory is building up, how long homes are sitting, and what all of this actually means for real people in Milton trying to figure out their next step. My name is Fawad Nissari. I'm a real estate broker here in the GTA, but Milton is where I live and where I spend most of my time. I make these videos to help buyers and sellers understand what's actually happening in the market. So if you want to stay on top of what's really going on in Milton, consider subscribing. It genuinely helps the channel grow. All right, so let's get into what actually happened in Milton in November. Last November, Milton had 150 sales. This November, we had 120 sales. So on paper, that doesn't look like some massive crash. But in a smaller market like Milton, 30 fewer sales is a real slowdown. You feel it. A few buyers in each price point, a few offers on each listing, and suddenly the whole market will feel that it's a lot more quiet. Same thing with inventory. Active listing went from 424 last year to 461 this year. Again, not a huge spike, but in a town this size, an extra 34 listings sitting out there changes how buyers behave. Now, new listing actually dropped a bit from 281 to 238, which tells you that a lot of sellers are kind of holding back or taking their home or their condo off the market and relisting it again in the spring market. And this is what I see talking to a lot of sellers. A lot of would-be sellers are saying, well, just wait for spring market. Spring is always better. Prices will be higher. And honestly, that's where I think a lot of people are going to be caught off guard, because if you have this many sellers thinking the same thing, we will list in spring, what do you think will happen? You will get a lot more homes hitting in the market at the same time. For buyers who already have options and you add even more inventory, they will cherry pick. They choose the best of the best. Everything else will sit in the market. The spring doesn't automatically mean higher prices. In a market like this, spring usually means more choices for buyers and more pressure on sellers. Now let's talk about prices here in Milton, because that's where the real pullback shows up. Overall, average price dropped from 1,119,000 last November to 964,000 this year. Now, that's the overall price point. But if you look at the detached home is the big story here. Last November, the average detached home in Milton sold for around 1,441,000. And this year, it's about 1,208,000. Now, that's roughly a $240,000 drop in 1 year. For a family in Milton who bought near the top, that's a punch in the gut. For a buyer who's been sitting on the sideline, though, that's the first time in a long time this market kind of feels remotely approachable. Semis also came down from 1,017,000 to roughly $935,000. So another $80,000 pullback. And looking at townhouses, last year, for the price of a townhouse was $885,000, and this year it's at $803,000. So another $80,000 to $85,000 price drop for townhouse. Now, condos and condo townhouse apartments are weak. Condo towns dropped closer to $100,000, and condo apartment fell around $75,000. And keep in mind, this is in Milton, not downtown Toronto. These aren't speculative investor towers for most part. And when condo numbers fell like that here, it's a sign that the confidence at the entry level is soft. Now, last year, a lot of these homes were selling somewhere between 99 to 102% of the asking price. This year, it's selling somewhere between 97 to 98% of the asking price. So if you list your home for $1 million, be prepared to sell it for around $970,000, because buyers will not pay asking price for homes in Milton, especially now. So that tells you that sellers are having to bend a little bit. They're taking less than their list price in many cases instead of more. Days on market tells the same story. The days on market went from 28 days to 38 days overall. Some product types like condo apartments and condo towns are up 50 days. Now, that's a big mental shift if you're a seller and if you're used to things like moving in 1 or 2 weeks, and all of a sudden now your home is taking 40 to 50 days. That feels like forever. But for buyers, it does the opposite. It calms them down. They're not afraid of missing out. They feel like they can wait, watch, and compare the houses in the market and then make a move. And this is where I go back to that spring conversation, because a lot of sellers think, you know what, let's just take the place off the market now and we'll try again in the spring when the spring market is better. But nothing about the bigger picture is screaming massive spring rebound right now. Inventory across the region has been trending up, and the market has been trending up, and buyers are more cautious, not less. So, if everyone is waiting for this spring market, we will probably get more listings, more choices for buyers. And in a market where buyers are already taking their time, that usually means more pressure on prices, not less, especially for the stuff that isn't renovated, not presented well, or overly priced. But if you're a buyer in Milton, that's actually opportunity as long as you don't rush. If you're a seller, it means you can't just rely on the calendar. You cannot say spring market will save me. The strategy, the pricing, and the presentation, that's what's going to decide how you do, not the month on the calendar. And between all of this, one thing hasn't changed. It still really matters who you're getting advice from, because some people are still taking advice as if this is 2021. It's not. This is a complete different market. It's more selective and it's more sensitive to price. And the numbers are telling the story very clearly. Now, if you're a seller and you're planning to wait for the spring market, here's the truth. Spring doesn't automatically fix your price. What you do between now and spring market is what actually moves the needle. Does your home need paint? Do you need small repairs done? Does the curb appeal need work? Do we need to reposition the layout or refresh how it shows? These little things, the stuff that most people ignore, make a massive difference when the market gets more competitive. And trust me, spring is going to be very competitive. Now, if you want to talk through what your home needs, what to fix and what to ignore, and how to get it done properly, ready for the spring market, you can book a discovery call. The link is in the description box below. One conversation now will save you a lot of stress later. If you're a buyer, take your time, don't rush. You finally have leverage in Milton. Use it properly. Get your financing solid, understand your numbers, and make smart decisions, not emotional ones. And if you're finding these updates helpful, consider subscribing. It really supports the channel and keeps you informed about what's actually happening in our market. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.